All right, welcome in again to the Super Awesome Podcast. I'm Captain Pete, and I'm here with fucking Butters, and I'm here with Gav Mraz, Diddly Doos. And let's make it natural again. What's Echo about? Oh, I don't know. A gamer tag. Got it.
Do I gotta explain the fucking Jeep breaking down again?
Yeah, what happened with the fucking Jeep? What's going on with y'all?
I was driving it and it started smoking. And now it's gonna cost a bunch of money to fix because the coolant lines all burst. And Sheba's gonna pay for that.
You know goddamn well she ain't. Isn't that her Jeep to begin with?
It was supposed to be her Jeep, but she didn't make a single payment on it. So now it's my Jeep.
Y'all got ducks in the dash of that fucking piece of shit?
We would, but she doesn't like tack them down or anything, so they just fly all over the Jeep or all over the ground.
God damn it, dude. I've driven one of those four-door JKUs, your brother's. Does he still have that thing?
I don't know. He never drives it.
Well, I
He
fucking
does.
hated it. I was not a fan.
Yeah, that the manual on that is awful.
Yeah, that is a six-speed and one of them four-door Jeeps, and I fucking did not like it. I'll tell you that. And it's such an underpowered engine. It's such a little V6 for like how big it is. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I hated that thing.
Four-door Jeeps are just terrible vehicles.
Yeah, I agree. So the Jeep is fucked. Gavin, what the fuck are you doing?
The most exciting thing I did this week was go to look at refrigerators.
Oh yeah,
Yep,
you pick
just
out a nice model.
not yet. You got a couple in mind.
You're gonna get a smart fridge that has a little touchscreen on it.
Yeah,
No, that's a little out of my budget.
What?
my parents have the fucking fridge with the goddamn TV screen in it. It's completely unnecessary.
I
If you
want one of
wanted to,
those. I want one of the ones that has the little like pocket door for your drinks in it.
yeah, I mean it's a nice fridge, I guess. But like, if you wanted to, you could like, share, and subscribe, and check out the Super Awesome Podcast right on your refrigerator. So it's so unnecessary. It's got a fucking so you hit a button and instead of opening the door to see what's in your fridge, it'll there's a camera and you can see what's inside your fridge by
Yeah.
pressing a button on the
Will it
screen.
take inventory of everything?
I don't know,
Like it'll tell
probably.
you like you need eggs real
Yeah.
soon.
It's completely unnecessary. But yeah. And what's happening with me? Fucking it snowed like 3 inches in Macon, fucking Georgia. There was a big ass
Apparently it snowed all
snowstorm.
the way down in Florida.
Yeah, it snowed everywhere. And I was like, oh, like, you see the news and you're like, it ain't gonna be no snow. This is the South. You know what I mean? And it fucking snowed a decent amount, and then everything was shut down like the next day. Like the fucking grocery store, Walmart was closed. I was like, because in Ohio, the snow is just like it can
Part of
if it
life.
yeah, if it snows enough, it'll like shut some shit down. But it's more of an inconvenience than anything else. But no, shit was shut down, and I was like, this ain't gonna be that bad. I had to put my truck in four-wheel drive and shit. There's a lot of hills around here, and I was like, oh fuck, these roads are actually destroyed. And there was people like stuck in the like off in the ditch and shit. And I just drove past. I'm like, oh, I don't have a tow rope. I can't help you. I know I got a 4x4 monster truck, but I can't be bothered.
I saw a bunch of people on the side of the road wrecked when we got our big snowstorm a couple weeks ago.
I told you about driving Sheba back from Kentucky and that. She was like
Yeah,
crying the whole way back. She kept wanting to stay in a hotel in Kentucky, and I'm like, if you wanted to stay in a hotel, you shouldn't have had me come pick you up.
yeah. But no, it fucking snowed, and that was kind of wild. And it was also kind of annoying because I'm like, why the fuck do I live all the way down here in goddamn Georgia for it to still snow? But it's supposed to be like 70 degrees in a couple days, so that's cool.
Well, that's great. Why'd you wait until I got a house to move down to Georgia?
Well, fucking, I don't know. Why'd you get a
Well,
house in fucking Haitianville?
this place sucks.
All
I want to move
right,
back down to downtown Dayton.
All right, the movie we're doing this week is Waterworld. And y'all both thought this was the best movie. This is Butter's suggestion, right?
Yeah.
It's important to suggest movies that probably aren't too good.
Yeah, you really know how to suggest a movie that is meh. Well, this one doesn't suck. It's just not all that great. All right, Waterworld, released July 28th, 1995. It's directed by Kevin Reynolds and it's starring Kevin Costner, Dennis Hopper, Jeanne Triplehorn, I guess that's her fucking name, Tina Margarino, and Michael Jeter. Uh,
And
this
Jack
movie,
Black.
yeah, and Jack Black is in the movie for like 5 seconds. Uh, at the time in 1995, this movie had the highest budget ever, ever before. So it had a budget of $175 million, and in the box office, and this is a cumulative. This took a while. The box office got 264 million, and in a lot of ways, this was considered a box office flop because they spent so much money on it, and it took them like a decade to actually like earn a profit on this movie. So there's that. And I did like a little calculation. So this movie was 175 million in 1995. If that was today money, it would be like $360 million movie. They fucked the
What's up?
budget up real bad on this movie. Y'all
It's
got
so
any?
expensive on it.
You got any fun facts? Because the only real fun facts you can find are about how the budget is fucked up.
That must be like the most. That's how like
That's what this movie's known for, rather than it
yeah,
being like this
a movie.
post-apocalyptic movie or whatever. It's like it's all about like, look at how much they spent.
The little girl, Tina Majorina or whatever her name is the awkward girl from Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah, she's in Napoleon Dynamite. I when I was watching this, I was like, where the fuck do I know her from? I was like, oh, Napoleon Dynamite. We should do that movie. That movie's fucking awesome. I don't know if it's awesome, but it's a classic from our like middle school days. I had a vote for Pedro shirt.
Did you?
Yeah. But yeah, fun facts. This movie was they were supposed to be they tried to get a budget of like 100 million and they got approved for like 65 million and the uh it was they were supposed to be like a 90-day shoot of the movie and it ended up taking like 161 days. So it took them way longer than expected to make the movie. And then they went way over budget because all right, so you know that big crazy set that they have at like Atoll or whatever it's called? So they built this giant set and Steven Spielberg warned the director of the movie, Kevin Reynolds, like Kevin Costner also plays a lot of role in because he's also one of the producers, and they had to do everything Kevin Costner said. But anyway, so they had this big ass, and Steven Spielberg warned them about shooting a movie out in the ocean. He's like, you should do it on like a controlled set, and they're like, whatever. And they did it out in the fucking ocean anyway, like out of Hawaii or whatever. And they built this big ass, really expensive set, and it something like the weather, whatever happened, and it sank. So they had to build the whole thing again. So that they just this movie has a crazy high budget, not because they intended to spend that much money. It's because they fucked up a bunch of stuff and ended up spending way too much money.
Well, hot damn.
That's kind of crazy to think about. All the Atoll stuff was all real.
No, I mean the set pieces and stuff in this movie are really cool.
So you're talking about that original little floating town at the beginning?
Yeah, like the
Yeah.
floating.
Yeah, I
Uh,
was thinking that was like a gnarly set that they created.
no, yeah, they built that whole thing, but they had to build it twice.
That sucks.
Yeah,
Could you imagine that call to your boss?
yeah. Hey, everything we built is underwater.
It's no
But
longer floating.
but speaking of water, we're talking about the movie Waterworld, and the movie Waterworld is about a post-apocalyptic Earth where somewhere along the lines, the polar ice caps completely melt. So everything melted, and the entire Earth is underwater. And that's basically the whole movie. And it's just Mad Max. It's Mad Max water. That's the whole
Yeah, it's
fucking
like through the
movie.
looking glass Mad Max.
Yeah.
It's Mad Max, you want water,
And I was
and
reading some
then
shit about this.
there's all this land, and then Waterworld, there's all this water, and there's no land.
Yeah, but Waterworld is basically the whole Earth is underwater, and there's hearsay of land somewhere. And the movie's about Kevin Costner, who doesn't have a name. He's just the Mariner. And there's this little girl who doesn't have enough clothes on the entire movie. And she's got a map tattooed on her back that leads you to dry land. And that's kind of the whole thing.
Does it ever explain how they came across that little girl? Like why she was on that
Yeah.
floating island?
Um, but no, we say Mad Max. Like this movie is Mad Max on the water. The writers of this movie even said they were like heavily inspired by like Mad Max 2. And it's like, yeah, clearly. It's straight up a Mad Max ripoff, but like on water. And that's kind of the whole thing.
The sequel's going to be on ice.
But so the main plot here is Kevin Costner is kind of like a drifter. I mean, not kind of, he is a drifter, but it's in the year 2500. I didn't know that until I read this. Apparently, it's in the year 2500, which, in my opinion, isn't far enough time out for it to be this world. You know what I mean? But either way, Kevin Costner's a drifter, and he's living out on the water. He like dives underwater to collect stuff because that's how they trade. That's like, you gotta trade weird stuff for money and food, and hydro is what they call water, like fresh water. And one of the hottest commodities that you can have is dirt. So anything that you can grow anything out of, so dirt is a hot commodity. And in the beginning of the movie, he's like diving underwater, he's getting some shit, and then there's this other drifter guy that pops up, and they get into like a little discussion. And you really got to watch your back in this world because everybody's gonna steal from you or kill you or whatever. Uh, and Kevin Costner has like a lime plant on his little boat, and that guy stole his lime plant. Like he was acting all cool in the beginning, and then Kevin Costner realized he stole his shit. And then when they're having this little altercation thing in the beginning, that guy's starting to sail away, and then the smokers come out of nowhere. And the smokers in this movie
They're
are,
just people that have gas-powered vehicles.
yeah,
They all smoke a lot.
yeah. That I thought smokers. I thought that was like going to be like a deeper thing, meant more. Like I was like, why are they called smokers?
Well,
I
they
don't.
do smoke a shit ton of cigarettes.
Well, that's the whole reason they're called smokers. That's it. I was like, what's smoker? It might have some deeper meaning. No, it's just dudes that smoke a fuckload of cigarettes.
And their exhaust be smoking.
Well, yeah, I thought maybe because they like
They
they
called
drive.
gasoline go juice.
Yeah, they called they got the go juice, but the smokers are led by Dennis
Deacon.
Hopper. Yeah, Deacon. He's the main antagonist, and they just fuck everybody over. They're like the bad. They're just the bad guys of the ocean world, and that's their whole thing. But they're called the smokers because they literally smoke a bunch of cigarettes the whole time, which I thought was kind of fucking stupid. Like,
It's weird that they did all this shit to try and get to dry land and was always messing other people over, but they had that giant ship. It was
yeah,
big enough to be its own island.
yeah, the
They could have had
smokers.
farms on that thing, but used a lot of their resources to hold drag races in the inside that ship.
Yeah, the smokers their main base is a giant like freighter ship, cargo ship, which you find out at the end of the movie when it sinks or whatever. It's the Exxon Valdez, which I thought was stupid. Because if y'all know the Exxon Valdez, that's the big oil tanker ship that crashed because the captain was like drunk or whatever, and it released it spilled a shitload of oil in like the Arctic. It happened in the
Oh,
90s.
I kind of remember hearing about that.
I don't.
But either way, they're on the smokers' main base is like the Exxon Valdez, which was a created a huge catastrophe back in the day. But either way, they got that giant freighter, and that's their like main base. But the smokers, they fuck everything up. But Kevin Costner, he manages to evade the smokers, and the smokers fuck up the guy that stole his lime tree plant. And then he escapes, and then he ends up at the atoll. I don't know what you call it, but it's the big floating town, basically, floating village, whatever you want to call it. So he shows up there, and he's trying to get some, some goods, some shit. He's trying to like restock or whatever, and he shows up and he's got this uh,
Dude,
jar of dirt, which is worth like a lot.
give me lunch. Oh God.
God damn it, Butters! Why are you having bowls of shit and bananas being brought to you?
Oh.
This is unbelievable. But he's on the floating town and he's got a whole bunch of dirt. And he's like, yo, I'm trying to get some shit for this dirt.
Oh,
Yeah, y'all got it? We up to speed? We're at the
told you,
town
bro.
with the dirt.
fucking little cunt kid cannot bother me.
All right, and that's where he meets that lady. What the hell's the lady's name? I can't remember her character's name. Well, either way, the,
Enola?
yeah,
That was a little kid.
no, that's the little kid.
Oh,
The little kid is Enola.
What are we talking about?
We're talking about where he gets to the floating town and he's just doing his business there, trying to fucking restock. Uh, and that's where he meets the lady, and she's like a shop owner thing, and she's like the adopted mother of Enola, the girl with the tattoo on her back, which is a map that leads to dry land. It's another one of these movies where like, oh, the child is the key to everything. Everything is like about this little girl,
her name is Helen.
Helen. Yeah. Anyway, he meets the lady and he's trading her for stuff. He gets a tomato plant from her or whatever. Sees the little girl. Little girl's all fucking angsty and shit. Uh, and then he's on his way out and he gets into like a scuffle or something. And
These
then
elders proposition him to have sex with
oh yeah,
a younger girl.
They're like, you don't want to smash this 12-year-old?
There must be something wrong with you.
Yeah.
yeah, they bring out this like underage girl and they're like, we need you to fuck her because we don't have enough diversity in this like village or whatever the fuck. I forget what their reasoning was, but they're like, yeah, fuck this girl. And he's like, nah. And then he's
You're
trying to
like,
leave.
ain't no man trying to not cram a 12-year-old around here.
Yeah.
They
They're
throw him in
like,
a cage.
well, no, he's about to
They're-
leave. And then they're like tussling with him and they find out that Kevin Costner is a mutant. He's got gills behind his ears so he can breathe underwater and shit. And they're like, oh, we ain't having none of that. We don't like your kind around here. So they fucking put him in a cage and they're gonna kill him because he's a mutant. I thought that was a little weird. Because he's a mutant, they're like, kill him. Like they have this big issue with mutants. Do they see mutants all the time? Like I thought that was a little bit
It
confusing.
seemed pretty uncommon. You didn't meet any other ones.
Yeah, I know. So he's like this unique guy, but the guy that says mutant, like it's a thing that they've dealt with before.
Yeah, it's probably I mean, it's the same at X-Men.
Yeah, I guess they hate mutants, but
But yeah, you're right. 500 years isn't long enough for all
No,
this
that's
shit to happen.
that's what I'm
For
saying.
him
Like
to evolve into like
Yeah.
have gills.
he
For
evolved
them
to
to
a
forget that Earth used to exist and it wasn't just water all the time.
yeah. It's definitely not enough time, especially for evolution of a man to become a fish person. He's a fish man, so he has gills and webbed feet. Either way, they lock him up, and he's in the cage thing. And then wouldn't you know it, those goddamn smokers show back up. The smokers show up and they fuck up the whole place. Big ass action sequence, which the action sequences in this movie pretty good. Not gonna lie. But the smokers show up and they just fuck up the whole village. And in the process of that, uh, Kevin Costner he gets like cut down from his cage. He's still in the cage and he lands in like a quicksand or some shit.
That's the compost
Oh, it's like their
water they were
shit.
gonna drown him in.
Yeah, they're all about like recycling everything. So he's like slowly sinking into the shit water. And then amongst all the action and chaos, the shopkeep lady, Helen, manages to free Kevin Costner. And then they escape on his little boat with Kevin Costner, the little girl, and the lady. They escape out into the ocean, and the whole village town is like completely destroyed by the smokers. And then they're just out on the water. And when they get out there, Kevin Costner's like a real hard ass. He's like, "We're gonna have to kill one of y'all. We can't. We ain't got enough water, whatever, for all three of us."
Threw the little girl overboard.
Yeah, he was real quick to say, "Let's kill this girl."
He does
And
throw her overboard at one point.
Helen
Yeah,
just was like, "I'll make you a deal," and just immediately drops trowel real
yeah.
quick.
Helen's like, "Don't kill her. Here, I have a
She had that
pussy."
on speed dial. She had like one snap and her clothes came off.
Yeah.
Does that a lot apparently.
I will say I appreciate the ass shot. Anytime you see nudity in a movie, it's usually tits, and it's like, yeah, that's fine. But we got the old backside from Helen there. But yeah, she was real quick to fucking take her whatever fishnet dress thing off, and so she offers her puss, and Kevin Costner's like, nah.
You ain't got
Awkwardly
what I
long
need.
pause before he says no, though. Like
Yeah,
she
he
stands
thought
there for a solid like minute and a half.
he thought about it. He gave her tit a fucking little, and then he's like, nah. And then I don't know, they just continue on. He doesn't.
I mean, she
He,
hasn't showered in like 500 years. That'd be some tuna smelling
well, you
twat
think
right there.
he's a fucking fish man. He probably couldn't resist that fucking stank ass fucking rotten fish smelling cunt. But no, he says no. He turns down the puss. And then they just continue on. And then Kevin Costner gets all mad because the little girl is like messing with his crayons and drawing on his ship. He's like, "You don't do that. This is my ship, my boat, whatever the fuck." And then they're sailing along. And then they run into the schizophrenic guy.
Yeah.
And that's the second time where that woman's pussy is up for sale. So they run into the schizophrenic guy, and he's trying to trade him for some shit. And he has paper. Apparently, paper is like a hot commodity.
I know they had a
And
whole bunch of it in that town, and
yeah,
Nola was drawing all over it like it was a pretty cheap thing.
yeah. So he's like, he's trying to make a deal with Kevin Costner, the schizophrenic crazy guy, and they come to a deal about he's got some paper, and he trades the Helen for like 45 minutes of just 45 minutes of fucking coitus for some paper. And then they go down into the boat where that's going to commence. And then he comes back and he's like, "Deal's off. Put your dick away." And then they like, I don't know, they get into a fight and they eventually kill that guy or whatever.
I would have eaten him, dude.
I know. That's what I was thinking. Like they're already savages.
Well, food, yeah, food is hard to come by. You feel like you'd eat everybody you come across.
Yeah.
He does kill that giant mutated shark and eat it.
Oh, that's another thing.
And I don't
So
really understand. I watched that twice and couldn't figure out what he did.
no, there's no explanation like really of how he killed it, but there's also no
He had
reason.
a spear that, or a,
It's like he had a stick of dynamite. He blew the
well, he
thing
had a
up.
spear gun that shot in two different directions. So he let it swallow him, and then he shot him two different directions. It's like a cross spear.
Yeah, but we're still not getting to the fact. Where the fuck did this giant monster come from?
He
500
lured
years of
it.
evolution.
I guess 500 years of evolution, but like
Maybe it was all frozen in the ice caps.
it's like the planet is covered in water, but all of it now there's just giant unexplained whale monster things with teeth. That shit was stupid to me. It's not like oh sharks or something. It was like no, it's a gigantic monster and that he blows up with a stick of dynamite somehow. And then
Also, there
that's
was a
it.
part later on in the movie when he's showing Helen the underwater city.
Oh God, yeah.
And the so the little girl is standing on the boat and you see shark fins swim under the boat. They make a whole point to show the fins and she's
They
looking at them all scared and then nothing happens.
yeah,
Well,
nothing
I
happened.
missed that. There's shark fins.
Yeah, in the water right before they come up. And I'm
Yeah,
thinking they're gonna get attacked by a shark like before they board the boat or something.
yeah. They showed the ominous shark fins in the water that, and nothing happens with that. But can we talk about? Okay, so Kevin Costner can breathe underwater and shit, and the way he gets dirt is that he dives down, and you see like this old city or whatever. That's another thing. The water level is so high that like skyscrapers are underwater. You know what I mean? I'm like
Yeah.
if the ice caps melted, would the water level really be that fucking high?
Probably wouldn't change at all since glaciers displace water anyway.
Yeah, the whole
It'd probably pretty much just equal out.
yeah the whole premise of the movie is kind of dumb, but either way, he has this like domed apparatus thing that holds water, and that's how he takes Helen down. Fuck, are we really that? All right. Well, either way, they go way underwater, and the water pressure is not a thing. It doesn't matter, and he that's how he shows Helen like the former world or whatever.
You'd have to be so strong to drag a diving bell like that
Yeah,
underwater.
that scene was fucking retarded. But either way, we got to fucking get okay. Moving along. The smokers are after him the whole time. They have a couple run-ins and they escape. And then towards the end of the movie, they're they have a big fucking showdown. So they have a battle. Okay, they have a couple run-ins with the smokers. So they have a run-in with the smoker, and the smokers end up stealing the little girl, right? Because the smokers are Deacon is after little girl because she's got the map on her back. The girl is the key to everything, and that's how you get to dry land. They want to get to dry land. So they kidnap the girl and they take her back to the Exxon Valdez tanker, and they're trying to figure out the map on the girl's back. But what's funny, they have the run in with the smokers. The smokers destroy Kevin Costner's ship. They steal the girl and all that, and then they still find the time to have a fuck scene before they go off after the girl.
Is there a crime scene?
Yeah, when Kevin Costner's ship is all destroyed, they come out of the water and the girl is stolen or whatever, and they're like, "Oh my god, they stole Elena or Nola, whatever." And then they have the time to fuck, and then they go after her. It
I
was
feel like
so
I kept periodically getting on social media and not paying attention.
no, that's what I'm saying. This movie is not great. It's like it's fucking really long, and it's
It
like
was super long. Every time I checked like how much was longer in it, I was like, damn.
yeah, it's real long and it's like hard to care about. You're like, it's kind of the action sequences or whatever are cool, but the story is just kind of fucking stupid, and you don't really give a shit about any of the characters. And can I say, Deacon, our main bad guy, he doesn't seem bad enough. Does that make sense? He's like a kind of lighthearted bad guy. Like I thought he was a
Yeah.
good bad guy, but I didn't. He didn't seem like evil or something.
Well, the movie's only rated PG-13, so I don't think it's supposed to be like a vicious.
Yeah. But anyway, the smokers end up with the girl, and then Kevin Costner and the lady, after they get done fucking, uh, the guy in the blimp, we forgot to mention the fucking guy at Atolls. He created like a fucking blimp, and then he comes to the rescue because he saw that their ship was fucked up, and then he picks up Kevin Costner and Helen.
People
And
run into each other a lot in this ocean.
yeah,
Yeah, this massive
this
planet-wide
whole
ocean.
whole planet of water, and they just happen to fucking like. How did they not? It's also been 500 years. How did they not find fucking dry land at this point? It's like a girl. Oh yeah, but what you were saying about her earlier, like how did the girl get there? So the girl is from the dry land initially. They found her floating in the ocean, like that goddamn Bible story where they sent the baby in the basket down the river in Egypt or whatever the fuck. Uh, I'm sure, whatever. But either way, that's how they find the girl. And the girl's got the tattoo on her back, whatever.
She's got some jacked up parents, dude.
Yeah, her
They're like, we
parents.
could send a little canoe full of like maps, but we're just gonna tattoo a baby and
Yeah,
throw that
she was like
throw
an
that in a
infant.
crate. Maybe somebody will pick it up.
But either way, uh, so Kevin Costner and the lady get picked up by the fucking blimp, and then they get into a final fucking showdown with the smokers. Basically, they fucking sneak attack him. Whatever. I forget how Kevin Costner gets on the boat. But Kevin Costner, this is another unrealistic thing. He drops a flare down the boat because the boat's full of oil. That's how they have the go juice. They refine the oil and use it for jet skis or whatever the fuck. Um, but he basically just blows up the whole fucking boat. Uh, and then he gets in the final showdown. He ends up saving the girl. They kill all the bad guys, and then they get on the blimp and they make it all the way to dry land. There you go. They did it. They found dry land. And at the end of the movie, Kevin Costner's like, "This ain't for me."
Land don't feel right.
Yeah. He's like, "All right." And he has like this emotional scene with the little girl. She's like, "But you have to be on dry land, blah." And then he's like, "No, I'm a fish man." And then he sails back out into the water, and that's the end of the fucking movie. But they do find dry land. It only took 500 fucking years.
Yeah, what
I
the
don't know.
hell?
All right, so what's y'all's final thoughts of Waterworld?
It's
Yeah,
alright.
I that's a good way to put it.
I mean, I'd agree. I have to say it's real like it's mediocre. I think that's why people talk about it like the budget so much. They're like, look at the crazy budget, and then when you watch the movie, you're like, well, the movie was like very underwhelming. Is
Yeah.
how I would put it. Like it's got some cool scenes, but it's basic like
I'd still say it's worth watching just because it's an interesting movie.
yeah, interesting. Like you're not going to be like, why the fuck did I watch this? You know what I mean? You're not going to be like, oh, that's the worst thing I've ever seen. You're just going to be like, mid. That's a very mid tier kind of movie. But I will like the quality of the movie does not reflect the budget. I think that's why everybody talks about the budget is because you'd think it'd be cooler.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, on my super awesome scales of super awesome ratings for Waterworld, I would give it a 7. 7 super awesomes. Not nothing. Well, I'd probably give it a 6.5. I'll never watch this again. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
y'all super awesome ratings? I give it a 6.5.
I would give it like a 4. I thought it was pretty boring.
4.
Four is pretty harsh, but yeah, it's fucking boring. Like you don't care about any of the characters. You know what I mean? It's just like, okay, we have thinning, balding hair, Kevin Costner, some lady, and some girl, and then the bad guy. You don't really give a shit.
I will say the scene with the bad guy and his fake eye, everyone was like, it looks great. That was pretty funny.
No, there's. I feel like the bad guy is a more likable character than our 3 main characters.
I can understand that.
One part that made me laugh is they were on the ship and some guy was welding, or he had a welding rod, like a stick welder in his hand, but the end of the welding rod was lit like a match,
Mm-hmm.
and that made me laugh because that's not how they work.
Another thing I didn't get in this movie. So the smokers, right? So there's no land. There's no land. The smokers, where are they getting? They're rolling all these cigarettes out of magical tobacco and paper that they're getting from somewhere. And
I
they all
wondered
have
that too.
cigarettes.
How'd all these cigarettes not get wet during the flood for 500 fucking years?
Yeah. Also, the jet skis fucking underwater. That shit. I'm like,
Oh yeah, where they're just all chilling,
yeah,
waiting.
they're like waiting underwater, like covertly in the fucking jet skis. There's a lot of shit in this movie that's fucking stupid. Especially the okay, you know the end scene where they're floating in the blimp and Kevin Costner ties a rope to his leg and then bungee jumps off the fucking shit to grab the girl.
Wouldn't the air be extremely thin in this world?
I don't know. There's some fucking
Because
retarded shit in this movie.
presumably that island would probably be Mount Everest.
Well, no, that's another thing. I asked Serena. I was like, okay, it's a planet. There's only water, right? So there's no vegetation on the surface to create oxygen. Where's all the oxygen coming from? You know what I
Can
mean?
come from algae, but there would be
It'd
significantly
be
less
underwater.
oxygen.
Well, either way, we got to wrap up the super awesome podcast. Next week we're gonna do Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow. Fucking Gavin Choice. We're gonna check that one out and fucking do it.
It's
All
gonna get
right.
just as bad a rating as Waterworld.
Yes, we'll see how it goes. Like, share, subscribe. Super awesome podcast. We're running out of time, and that's about it.
All right.